Morning, everyone. This is John Craig, and you are listening to Let Us Reason Together here on the Messianic Lamb Radio Network. And so glad that you can join us here today. I am your second day of the week host for Let Us Reason Together, and it's based off of Isaiah 118. Come now and let us reason together, says Yahweh. Though your sins are as scarlet, they will be as white as snow. Though they are red like crimson, they will be like wool. This is where we sit down, reason out current events, cultural shifts, and of course this week's Torah portion. We can either push back or push through. Nevertheless, if iron does not sharpen iron, sparks will never fly, let alone ever get a fire going. And so without a little heat and a good midrash, how will our hearts ever get soft and moldable enough to be transformed in the way that the Spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh, wants us to be, and maybe have a little fun along the way? Today is Monday, July 15th, 2019. It is the 12th day of the fourth month in the Hebrew year, 5779. And so I sure appreciate you joining us today, as well as those that are in the chat room. And if you like us, give us a thumbs up. Post us on your social media and spread the word about not only Let Us Reason Together and the Monday edition of this, but also the Messianic Lamb Radio Network also. So what is today? Well, I have to say this. Today is anticipating. What are we anticipating? Mary Poppins Day. Yeah, it's a thing, I guess. It's 9 Lives Day. It's Stepping Over a Rung Day. It is Blue Day. It's Romantic Sunset Day. And I'm going to tell you something. Some of the best sunsets in the world are out here in West Texas. So if you just want to see a good sunset, come out to Amarillo. Join us at Life of Worship here in Amarillo, Texas, and watch a sunset with us. There you go. And okay, so there's some other things that are being observed annually on July 15th, but I'm going to have to do this, guys. Go ahead and bring in my co-host today, because I want y'all to be part of the next announcement of what today really is. So joining me here, let me pull you guys in. Daryl Weinberg, right from the great nation of Canada, our neighbors to the north. Good morning, Daryl. How are you today?
I am excellent. Thank you, John. Wonderful to be here.
So glad that you can be part of this broadcast today. And then also we've got Mark David Smith. Good morning, Mark. How are you?
Hi.
who formerly of the great state of Oklahoma and formerly of the great state of Kansas, has now moved to the great state of North Carolina and has been there. And now you're a native, right? Are you a native? Yes. And my co-host to my right here is Miss Sandy Craig. There she is. She's had to do the walk-on type of thing because she doesn't get her own camera. She gets to be with me.
Hey, I bet. Do you guys like John broadcasting his show better from Life of Worship than our home? You can see a good picture, right?
Clear picture, right?
Clear audio, clear picture. It's all good. We actually like your face.
We like that. We like that. Okay.
I like the high definition so I can see the sweat dripping down your faces.
I know. See, it's summertime in Amarillo, and there's no air conditioning on in this room.
Well, it's because we don't want to air condition 22-foot ceilings in here when we're not having a meeting. Because we're in an old movie theater. Well, actually, two. We have 2 old movie theaters in where we're meeting.
Shall we give everybody a view?
I don't know. No, John.
There you go. Now
Why
you know. It's a long ways up there, right?
All they saw was the lighting.
I know. They saw the ceiling
The
tile.
cans.
So there you go.
But we're blessed with a really nice facility.
We are. And so now that I have you all with me, I have to go on and bring you in with what it is today. So Daryl, Mark, Sandy, observed annually on July 15th, National Be a Dork Day.
You got that, don't you?
Only once a year?
It's national. I don't even know if it's national for Canada. It was just showed up.
No, we do that every day up here.
Okay, it's a daily thing in Canada, but once a year we can be a dork in the United States. All right. So, all right. How about this? Now that if we've been a dork and we're a dork, maybe in our family and that type of thing, then it's National Get Out of the Doghouse Day.
That's every day up here too.
Sandy wants to make some comments.
I was about to say, you need to have that happen more often, don't you? Mark is like,
What?
oh, he's in the
Mark's in the doghouse. So, all right. So don't be a dork. Or let's be a dork. All right. It's okay. We're going to get out of the doghouse.
All relative. It's all relative.
And just because we've got Dara with us, get this. It's National Respect Canada Day. And that's in spite of the Prime Minister of Canada.
I love that reaction.
So I'm going to keep my thoughts to myself about Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, but y'all can just make up what you think my thoughts are. And if you're in the chat room, you might just be creative about my thoughts about Canada's Prime Minister. But with that said, we'll move on. All right. So
it's nice that you're on a first name basis with.
No, I'm not. I'm not on a first name. Daryl, are you?
So,
no.
But you're calling Justin. Hey, Justin, what's up, man? What we going down, man?
I always thought that the people in Canada know their prime ministers, like firsthand. They buddies, hang out together. Like
I actually spoke at the same church many years ago in Ottawa that our former Prime Minister, Stephen Harper, used to attend. That's about as close as I've gotten.
Well, there you go.
He didn't happen to be there that day, though.
Yeah. The reason I had to say that is because that the fact that Sandy and I live in Texas, everybody thinks that we all ride horses to work. But
hey, Mom.
So
sorry, Mom's on.
Yeah, Mom's on.
And everybody else, but Mom, I forgot. Mom took off work this week, so she's probably going to be tuning in a lot to everybody's broadcast. So,
all right. So, how about this? Daily quotes for Monday, July 15th. And here's the positive quote of the day. Positive quote. Keep that in mind. And the talent for being happy is appreciating and liking what you have instead of what you don't have.
Oh.
Okay. Oh, so think about that. Just positive quote of the day. And this is coming from a man who raised his wife's daughter and then married her. That was Woody Allen. Yes. Funny quote of the day. You have to go back and rewind that if you didn't catch it. All right. Funny quote of the day. This is about this. I think every American can relate to this. I love to go to Washington, if only to be near my money. That was from Bob Hope. Bob Hope. Okay. I got almost a laugh from my wife. So how about this love quote of the day? This is where you swoon. No partner in a love relationship should feel that he has to give up an essential part of himself to make it viable.
Why does it say he?
Nope.
Why is it?
Well, that's because May Sarton said that. I'm assuming that May is a woman.
No partner in a love relationship should feel that they have to give up an essential part of themselves to make it viable. That's better.
There you go. There you go. There's the correction. How about this? Verse of the day. I like this. This is from the Haftorah portion. From Micah 6:8. He has told you, O man, what is good. And what does Yahweh require of you but to do justice, to love kindness, and to walk humbly with your God. So I like that verse too. And that's a question. So is it rhetorical or not? Well, how about some things? Today, in our Torah portion is the Torah portion Balak. So there's going to be a theme that's going on in this in this show today, and it has to do with donkeys. Donkey. All right. So what happened on this day?
Hold on. I when I hear donkey, I hear Shrek's voice.
Shrek.
Donkey. Yeah, that's how he said it.
Donkey. Yeah. All right. So
okay. At least Daryl smiled.
It's donkey.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it does sound better coming from a man's voice.
maybe a little bit of that Canadian accent.
And Mike Myers is from Toronto, so
There
know.
you go. That's what it is. So
That's it. Exactly. That's how you get. You just have to have the Canadian twist.
didn't.
Yeah.
All right. So I was told the other day that I had a weird accent.
Do you?
I don't know. Someone said you sound like you're from like up north. I'm like, what? I said, no, I'm born in Texas. No, you don't sound like you're from Texas. I don't know what Texas sounds like anymore. There's a lot of people that sound like they're from Texas, but there's a lot of people that don't, and they're from Texas. Okay, how about this? Moving right along, we digress. Okay, so we're talking about donkeys. Well, don't you think this guy might have felt like a donkey? This is from this day in history, 1915. The head of the German propaganda in the U.S. So the head of the German propaganda in the U.S., this is 1915. His name was Dr. Heinrich Albert. He loses his briefcase on a subway in New York City. New York City. Okay, an examination of its content reveals an extensive network of German espionage and subversion across the U.S.
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
That was about a donkey move. That's right. So, yeah, I bet you he was kicking himself. I wonder what happened to him after that. I wonder if he lost his job or wonder what.
Or espionage.
Espionage.
Spying?
See, this is pre-Nazi, though. This is 1950s, World War I era. So, how about this? 1987. Know this guy? His name was Boy. Yeah, they might call him Mr. George. Boy George. He was barred from British TV show. Why? In 1987, he may be a bad influence.
Don't you really want to know?
So there you go. That's there it is.
Not where we're going. No.
All right. So that's a donkey move. Okay. So moving right along. Here's some donkey wit for the day on the lighter side. So we're going to jumpstart our brain. How about this? This is maybe some donkey moves by men trying to pick up women. All right. How about this man? Haven't I seen you someplace before? Woman. Yeah, that's why I don't go there anymore.
Why don't we just do it? I'll be the woman.
Okay. All right. Is this seat empty?
Yes. And this one will be too if you sit down.
How about this? So, want to go back to my place?
Well, I don't know. Will two people fit under a rock?
Where'd you crawl out from under? Yeah, that's right. Okay, how about this one? Your place or mine?
Both. You go to yours and I'll go to mine.
Yeah. And then I'd like to call you. What's your number?
It's in the phone book.
But I don't know your name.
That's in the phone book too.
So what do you do for a living?
I'm a female impersonator.
That's no joke nowadays.
Yeah, hey, wait, none of that on here. I don't want to get shut down.
I get blocked. Okay, maybe we shouldn't laugh so hard. Okay. I'm just saying. All right, here's some more donkey moves. So I'm going to read the question. You give the answer.
No, I was only the woman because it said woman. This is yours.
All right. So what do you get when you cross a pilgrim with a Democrat? We're talking donkey moves, right? Donkey.
Pilgrim with Daryl, you got this one. It's yours.
I couldn't even begin to guess.
All right. A God-fearing tax collector who gives thanks for what other people have.
Is there something wrong with that?
All right. Sam, we're talking about donkeys. All right. Why should Democrats be buried 100 feet deep? Because deep down, they're really good people.
Do you want me to go do the symbols?
That was good. I like that one.
Do you want me to do symbols? They're right there.
I like that.
Ka-dum-tsh.
Oh no, that's fine. All right. So what happens when you cross a pig with a donkey? I mean, a Democrat. Nothing. There's some things a pig won't do.
Oh, John, we need to get you saved.
How about this? So if you're a Democrat, just laugh with me. All right. We're just poking fun. All right, because we're talking about donkeys today. It's about Balak. All right. Why did God create Democrats? How about this? In order to make used car salesmen look good. Moving right along.
You could have said, in order to make used car salesmen look good.
All right.
It's all about the delivery.
Yeah. So, have you ever see those used car salesmen that go, yeah?
No,
No, I haven't either. Just thought if I was one, maybe I would do that.
you were.
I sold cars for 2 weeks.
And were fired?
I didn't know. I chose to go work somewhere else.
Oh, that was a long time ago.
Worst job ever. All right. At least at 27 years old, what is a recent Democrat graduate's usual question in his first job? What would you like to have with your French fries, sir?
What was that supposed to insinuate?
I don't know. I got these.
I don't get that at all.
Right. Maybe a young Democrat graduate would understand. How about this? How many Democrats does it take to screw in a light bulb?
14.
No, just one, but it really gets screwed.
Okay, well, you made Daryl smile. You made Daryl laugh. That's what this is all about.
And how many Democrats? Okay, I said that one. No, yeah. How many Democrats does it take to change a light bulb? Well, it's irrelevant. They still don't know. They're in the dark. Okay, and then one last one. Oh yeah. Okay, one last one. I'm going to skip that one. Okay, what do you get when you offer a Democrat a penny for his thoughts?
Change.
Thank you, Daryl. That's it.
You're welcome.
Got it. All right, you got one.
I don't get it. A penny is the lowest denomination that you can get. How can you get change from a penny?
Well, didn't we have a former president had something to do with change or something like divided we stand, or I don't know. So,
John, there's no answer to that one. That was me showing how stupid a person.
So now that we're done, breathe. Okay, collect your wits, your thoughts, your mind's untwisted. We can relax, and we're ready to move forward to our next segment. And Daryl, you've got the door portion today. So I'm so glad you got that. We're going to jump into that with our feet forward and try to untwist our brains from those donkey dokes.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway. So we are covering Balak this morning. And, I was having a look at this yesterday, and I always want to look and see if there's a new angle or something like that to the scriptures that maybe I haven't seen before, a connection and whatnot. And there is such a lot of stuff going on here in this passage. This is a very, very sad time for Israel. It just continued the theme of the rebellion, the falling away from God. As a matter of, in my devotions, I'm just going through Ezekiel right now. And you just kind of shake your head. But I just as a kind of a note on some of the things that's been happening, and the message that God has really been giving me is that what God has been watching within the body over the past long time. He's saying that judgment is beginning, and this kind of stuff isn't going to be tolerated anymore. And we're so focused on God being a gracious God, a loving God, a patient God, that there comes a time where all of a sudden that's enough. And you never want to hear that from heaven. I think of Daniel chapter 4 with Nebuchadnezzar and how he was warned, get off the pride train, don't stand there and bring glory to yourself. And then a year after this, he walks out onto the walls of Babylon, which were massive things. We talked about this in Shabbat. I think the walls in Babylon were about 12 feet thick. You could actually ride 2 chariots. And he's saying, this beautiful Babylon that I've built for my glory, and it's all my ingenuity and everything else. And then the word comes from heaven, says, King Nebuchadnezzar, your time has come. And the judgment came. And what people don't understand is that this is something that I've spoken about throughout my ministry career, is that God doesn't work quickly, but he does work suddenly. And there will be warnings, there will be warnings, there will be warnings. And then all of a sudden, wham. And I think we're approaching that right now in history. I mean, how can God continue to allow the things that have been going on with, the scandals that have been unfolding, that are beginning to unfold, revelations coming? You've got the whole Jeffrey Epstein thing. And although we know about what's been going on behind the scenes for a long time, we know about the pedophilia networks. I just had last week, there was a guy who used to come to my congregation, very disturbed man. He left a couple of years ago in the rebellion that had happened here, and he just got picked up last week for trying to solicit an underage girl online. And things are beginning to be revealed. Numbers 32:23 says, your sin will find you out. And Yeshua repeats this and says that whatever is done in the darkness will be shown from, will be exposed and will be, shouted from the mountaintops. And I think God has basically gotten to the point within the body that he's just fed up. And I can't say that I really blame him. The pride, the insolence, the arrogance that we see within believers, the resistance to doing what God wants us to do, it's really sad. And so we come to this passage in Numbers 22, where Israel has just gone through a whole series of disciplines, shall we say, with the rejection of the command to go into the land. Then you had the rebellion of Korah. Then you had the rebellion of Korah part 2 after Korah gets killed. And you have this constant grumbling against Moses. Last week, we discussed how Miriam died. And again, the children of Israel were grumbling against Moses and Aaron. Moses finally lost his temper, and it cost both Moses and Aaron the opportunity to go into the land. So we got to be careful that the leader doesn't get dragged down into the grumbling of the people. But here we have a fascinating couple of characters in Numbers 22. So it says that the sons of Israel journeyed and camped in the plains of Moab beyond the Jordan opposite Jericho. And we see Balak, the son of Zippor, saw all that Israel had done to the Amorites. So Moab was in great fear because of the people, for they were numerous. And Moab was in dread of the sons of Israel. And what he does is he says, I need someone to go curse these people for me. So he knows of this guy named Balaam, the son of Beor of Pethor, and he goes and calls him, and he says, now please come curse this people for me, since they are too mighty for me. Perhaps I might be able to defeat them, drive them out of the land, for I know that he whom you bless is blessed, and he whom you curse is cursed. So right here, we get a whole bunch of really interesting things. Number one, if you were to look upon a people of about 3 million strong that are camped outside of your land, you would be worried too, wouldn't you? And especially after they just finished laying a good old-fashioned biblical thumping on the Amorites. God had said that we need to kill Og and Sihon, and they were these kings of the Amorites. And yet, if we go back a little, and if Balak had actually been in tune with God, he would have realized that God said to Israel, don't touch the Moabites because I'm going to give their land as an inheritance to, who was Moab, the sons of Lot. So because Lot was a relative of Abraham, because Lot was a righteous man, even though his two children, Ammon and Moab, were born out of incest, they were obviously not good kids and their nations weren't good, God still left it as an inheritance to them. And so God said that you don't touch them, you're gonna pass through. So the reality is Balak had nothing to worry about, because Israel wasn't going to do to them what they did to the Amorites, because, you know, Og being he was Nephilim, and so God said that you got to wipe out everybody there because of what they did, and also because of the fact that they didn't bless you when you came out of Egypt. So then he goes and hires Balaam, and Balaam is an oracle, and he is in touch with God. And this is a guy that I've always found very fascinating, because he's obviously not a God-fearer. He doesn't worship God, and yet God speaks to him. He is able to prophesy. He is able to discern things. And he says, whoever you bless is blessed, and whoever you curse is cursed. So God has obviously given him favor and power. And we have to ask ourselves, why would there be a pagan prophet who would have this kind of influence and authority? And so he comes to him and he says, you know, you need to come you need to come curse these people for me. And so Balaam starts off okay, and he says that, well, whatever God says, I will do. So he says, spend the night here, and I will bring word back to you as the Lord may speak to me. So he's acknowledging the Lord. And the leaders of Moab stayed with Balaam. Then God came to Balaam and said, who are these men with you? As if God didn't know, but, you know, obviously he's testing him. Balaam says to God, Balak, the son of Zippor, king of Moab, has sent word to me, behold, there's a people who came out of Egypt, and they covered the surface of the land. Now come curse them for me. Perhaps I may be able to fight against them and drive them out. God says to Balaam, do not go with them. You shall not curse the people, for they are blessed. For me, that should have been enough. Let's end this right here. They're blessed. You can't touch them. So maybe this is a sign for you, Balak, that if you want God's favor, you need to be right with God, because if these are his people, you want to be aligned with them. And this is the part that I don't understand about the church, and it's how many people of the church, and if you look at the church fathers, how many of them came against Israel? So, you know, here he's given instruction, and he says, well, I can't do it. So he says, Balaam arose in the morning and said to Balak's leaders, go back to your land, for the Lord has refused to let me go with you. The leaders of Moab arose, went to Balak and said, Balaam refused to come with us. And we don't know the whole conversation as to why he you know, that conversation happened. So what does Balak do? Balak gets the answer, but like so many people nowadays, that's not good enough. Well, we don't like that answer, so we're going to try something else. And so what Balak does is he ups the ante. So he sends more numerous people, more honorable people, and he says, more distinguished than the former, they came to Balaam and said to him, thus says Balak, the son of Zippor, let nothing, I beg you, hinder you from coming to me. Well, didn't he just said God himself has said not to? And the question is, who is he trying to get the curse from? If he's going to Balaam, and Balaam says, the one who does the blessings and the curses isn't allowing me, what makes you think that you sending more money and more distinguished people is going to make a difference? But he tries anyway. And so though Balak were to give me his house full of silver and gold, I could not do anything either small or great, contrary to the command of the Lord my God. Okay, this should have been it. He's repeated it. But this is where Balaam really goes off the rails. Now, please, you also stay here tonight, and I will find out what else the Lord will speak to me. So, you know, the question we got to ask is, well, what else would he hear? Why would he go back and ask God a second time? And so he goes back and he talks to God. And God came to Balaam at night and said to him, if the men have come to you, call you, rise up and go with them, but only with the word which I speak to you, you shall do. This is the grace of God happening right here. Balaam is insistent upon going. He really wants to go. Why? Because he's been promised a whack of cash. And Jude 11 really says that they fell into the error of Balaam, who for profit went and tried to curse Israel. And I'm paraphrasing. So God now says, okay, go with them, but now you're only going to say what I am giving you permission to say. And so he goes, and every time he tries to curse Israel, and it was 3 times that they set up altars. So what is Balak doing? Balak is saying, well, if I can't get the result that I want this way, I'm going to try it this way. And so, he offers him more money, more distinguished people, you'll be honored and everything else. And so they come. And then when he arrives, every time, he says, okay, we're going to do some divination here, and we're going to try to curse, but, they have to offer the sacrifices. And every time they do that, God comes back and says, no, this is what you're going to say. You're going to bless them. And Balak is like, well, wait a minute. I hired you to curse them. Why are you blessing? I can only say what God says. Okay, well, let's set up. Maybe God will allow you to curse them only if we only see a portion of them. And you've got this whole game going on. So you've got Balak, who's trying to manipulate God because he wants a result that he has already been told he's not going to get. Balaam is trying to produce that result because he wants the payday. And so even though, and this is so Balak doesn't really understand God, but he's not listening to the prophet and the oracle who's telling him what God is saying. Balaam himself is a prophet and an oracle of God. And even though God told him, number 1, not to go, number 2, on the way over there, he shows up as the angel of the Lord and is about to kill him. And as we were talking about donkeys and Democrats this morning, that, had she not gone off to the side and feared me, I would have killed you. He goes, and every time he issues a prophecy, it's a blessing. He's like, I'm not going to get paid if I don't produce the result that he wants. And so after the 4th time that God causes him to bless Israel, what does he do? He then tells Balak how to get Israel to sin, which was inviting them to participate in idolatry. Balak tries to manipulate God by offering money. He's got resources. How many pastors and preachers are out there doing that today? How many politicians are out there doing that today? And then Balaam, who heard the word of God several times, outright disobeys God and causes Israel to sin. And he was successful because he knew where Israel's weakness was. And he caused Israel to sin. And because of that, he orchestrated his own death. Because then when God told Israel to destroy the Midianites, Balaam was amongst them. But it was a tragic period for Israel because you have the sin of Cosby, where Phineas went in and ran them through and stopped the plague, but over 25,000 died that day. But what I saw is that you've got 2 guys who have heard from God, and one is trying to manipulate God. The other's trying to manipulate God, and then he flat out goes and disobeys God anyway, knowing exactly what God said they were blessed. He caused them to bless them 4 times. And still, because he was so hungry for money, he ended up doing the exact thing that God told him specifically not to do. And so, number 1, there's always a chink in the armor. It's like Smog the Dragon. Israel's protected, but if that one part of the armor there, and if you can get them to do what they're not supposed to do, then you're going to cause them to fail. But one of the things that we talked about in service, not this past Shabbat, but the previous one, is that if you go against Israel, you go against the apple of God's eye. And the job of believers today is to bless Israel regardless of how they behave. Yes, Israel's full of sin. Israel's doing a lot of really bad things. Israel is run by the people who worship the evil one. But they're still God's covenant people, and God's the one who's in charge of blessing. But I'm astounded at Balaam when you really look at what he did and how insistent he was. And it was all for cash. Well, how many prosperity preachers are out there doing that today? And how many believers are trying to manipulate God into getting what they want? Instead of bringing our plans to God and saying, God, does this line up with your will? Or more importantly, forget about my plans. God, what do you want me to do today? Where do you want me to go? How am I to be a blessing to you today, God, and to the people of God? Instead, we've got our own plans because there are things that we want. Sometimes it's no more complicated than about money. All of these machinations that Balaam did were because he was greedy and hungry for profit. But sometimes it's power. Sometimes it's influence. Sometimes we want a position. I can't tell you how many people I've had come through our ministry over the years who have wanted a teaching position, but they haven't been called to preach not even to preach, but to teach. And number two, that they don't have the fruit in their lives to be able to do it because they want the accolades. They want the position. And I find it fascinating and scary too, that God gave Balaam, God talked directly to Balaam. Balak got it secondhand. So, there's allowance for him that, maybe I don't trust what this guy is saying. But when you specifically tell someone, here, I'm going to pay you a bunch of money to do this, and then the guy goes and does the opposite because he's not allowed to, I'm figuring, okay, God, but I see people in the body all the time today doing the same thing. God is frustrating them from getting what they want. God is trying to send them messages not to do what they're doing, and they're insisting on pressing forward with their plans because they're more interested in what they're getting as opposed to what God wants to give them. And aren't his plans so much better than ours? Isn't what he has promised for us so much better if we're simply willing to wait and to trust? Psalm 125, which I just preached on this past Shabbat, those who trust in the Lord are blessed. But that trust means putting our faith in that God is going to deliver in what he says and bring us through even the difficult times, even though we're not getting what we want. So I think there's some dynamics going on here, but I think it's a real picture as to what's happening. And you can almost see Balaam and Balak being representative of pastors in congregations today, that they go to the pastor, they want to get what they want, and they conspire together to try to do what God doesn't want them to do, and then God has to go deal with them.
Yes. Yeah, that's so true. So many good points there, Daryl. So many good points. I mean, and I'm just going to leave it at that. You said a lot of really good things. We got to jump into our next segment because it's just simply because of the way the time's going. But I really appreciate what you brought. I just want to make this comment though. You're right. In the midst of ministry, how we all have been given roles and positions, but the timing of everything is extremely important. Not only hearing God, I just have to say this. When I was a young believer and I was going on mission trips in college, and when other people were getting positions that I really wanted, I felt like, wait a minute, I know this stuff. I could handle this. I should be able to put in that position. But I really thank God that he didn't allow me into those positions before I was ready, that I was still in that process of learning and growing. And I had zeal, but didn't need to be in those positions because it would have ended up taking us down the wrong road. It would have been wrong for me. I probably could have burned out very quickly in my life. So anyway, I appreciate that, Daryl, what you're bringing up today. But let's jump over to our next segment. And we're talking about donkeys. We're talking about the different voices that are out there. And so I want to talk about some more donkeys, and that's donkeys that are in the news. And so talking about donkeys in the news, there is a breaking report over at newswars.com. Now, of course, the commentary is mostly on video, but it's going to be our launching point today. And this has to do with how it's insider information that 2020 Democrat presidential frontrunner Joe Biden is preparing to drop out of the election due to serious health concerns related to memory loss and slurred speech, according to sources. Now, that's the bottom line. That's the information that's out there. If anybody's kind of followed the career of Joe Biden, we know that he started out as a congressman back in the 70s and has been a politician since the 70s. He has been a mouthpiece of the Democrat Party and held a pretty much moderate view. Now, much of what Joe Biden has said, I have completely disagreed with over the years. I just don't agree with that mindset. Just don't. But he's been a mouthpiece of the Donkey Party. And he was up on stage at the first Democratic debates just not too long ago. And he was trying to bring actually a moderate viewpoint from all these extremist progressive voices that were on that stage with him. So Kamala Harris actually came out with a very direct attack upon him, calling him a racist because of his views that he had held 30 years ago, back in the 70s, things that he had done in his past that was pretty much part of the culture at that point in time. Of course, we know the Democratic Party has been the culture of racism from the very beginning, and then they project racism on everybody else. If you just listen to their speech, if you're not with them, then you got to be a misogynist, a racist, just you name it, and that's who you are. And so Joe Biden, trying to carry that load, he was attacked, and pretty much to the point he says, well, I've used up my time. I'm not going to talk anymore. With the attacks upon him, he has now been saying behind the scenes that you guys wanted me on this. You told me this would be a shoo-in. I was supposed to be the next presidential candidate that was supposed to lead the pack. Now he's losing money. Now he's not getting the finances like some of the other candidates are receiving. And he says, it's not worth it. And they're trying to say, well, now because of health reasons, he's going to back off. And if you don't know anything about Joe Biden, he went through surgery where they actually took his brain surgery. They took the top of his skull off. They did surgery on his brain. He's come out of it on the other side and still has been, had very much a voice in the Democratic Party, was the vice president of the United States under Barack Obama, and thought he should be the shoo-in for this next candidate to go up.
So how much of his brain did they leave when they did the surgery?
Well, that's a very good question. So the whole point is now the Democratic Party, not only are they going after him, who has been part of the Democratic leadership for years, what they're calling the squad, which is a squad of 4 Democratic voices that have come in from these freshman congressmen, including Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Rahib, whatever her name, the congressman from Michigan, the congressman from let me get that right. They'll get on my case about that, from Minnesota. They've all been coming out attacking the leadership of the Democratic Party. They're eating their own. Nancy Pelosi is being attacked as a racist from Ocasio-Cortez. And so we have these elements of fighting, the infighting, almost the very thing that we're talking about in this Torah portion, where the donkey is trying to say, stop, you're going to get killed if you go any further. It's almost to the point of where you have, hey, we need the blessing spoken, or we need the curse spoken against Trump and against all of the Republicans and any type of inroads that they're making and any progress they're making. Someone needs to curse the progress that's been happening for the last 2 years and now the Democrats are in and of themselves imploding. They're imploding all They're trying to get the money. They're trying to go after themselves. These things are relating to this week's tour portion of the current event. I want to get y'all's thoughts about where we're at in this climate of the Democrats eating their own and really actually just cursing their very own. Mark, what are your thoughts about these things?
It seems that, well, like I posted in here, Pelosi is actually one of the authors of the H.R. 5 bill. And you're saying she's, I didn't catch the whole thing on her racism thing or whatever, but she has a history, and I haven't followed her close, but Pelosi's always been intriguing to me. And so all of this that you have in Biden and her are, have always worked together and all kinds of different things is that it all comes back on you. No matter what it is that you do it in public and it comes out in public. And that's what I'm seeing here by what you're saying and all the different things. And so I guess maybe my question is, are you asking me to curse the Democratic Party and all of that? Because, let me hear from God on that, and then I'll get back to you whether or not I can or not. But I think that's the deal, and it's the same thing as with a lot of the things that the rabbi was saying is that, and this is rarely brought out, but as we see in the next Torah portion, all things come around. What we do in one place may seem like we made it through and it's okay. I know what I did was wrong. I know, and I'm sorry for it, but it doesn't, we all know that we still have to suffer the consequences of things that we do. And even with Balaam and Balak, we see that they do suffer the consequences of it. And I think it's the same thing we're seeing like with Biden and Pelosi and several of the others is that things in their lives are not behind the scenes. They are in public, and they will be accounted for in public. That's my thoughts on it.
All right. Well, hey, Daryl, you've got a different perspective being up there in Canada. What are your thoughts about this infighting that's going on among the leadership of the Democrat Party? These voices, we have the old guard, and they're aging. We have to admit that the old guard is aging. They're actually aging out. We don't even know how long they can even be preserved or propped up in their position. Then you got this younger guard that's coming in trying to take over, but it's just a very small minority, like 4 people, the biggest voices that are really pushing the agenda, and everybody else is trying to pull back the reins. How do you see this going on here in America? And then this whole thing about Joe Biden behind the scenes talking about, hey, if you guys don't want me, I'm out of here. And what are your thoughts on those things?
There's so many factors that are involved here. First of all, AOC, Ilhan Omar, and Tahib, whatever her name was.
Rashid or something like that, yeah. Whoops.
They're all hired actors. The Justice Democrats are the organization that actually, they candidated AOC, and she won. Like she got the audition. And so when you look at what's going on behind the scenes there, AOC doesn't actually say anything that isn't scripted for her. There are no original thoughts. She is told verbatim. I mean, we know that Obama was the great teleprompter, but AOC, she's literally handed her script from her campaign manager and her chief of staff, and he's an Indian fellow. But so what's happening is, and there's a great there's a guy on YouTube. He goes by the handle Mr. Reagan, and he did a whole expose on this. And so what's happening is that the Justice Democrats and some other organizations are now, what they're doing is they're trying to infiltrate the three branches of the U.S. government, with the executive, the judiciary, and also, of course, Congress. And so what they're doing is they're trying to set up their folks. I mean, how many times has Trump been blocked by an activist judge? And we've got the same situation going up here in Canada. But everything that is being done, sometimes we can get so caught up in the details that we have to take a step back and see what's really happening. Is that the United States is being set up to be taken down so that the UN can come in and declare martial law and begin the agenda of population reduction. That's what this all comes back to. And so regardless of who does what and who says what, and whether there's forced inoculations in California, or you've got, post-birth abortions, infanticide in New York and other places, all of this is designed to bring about, number one, and this goes back to what Balaam did to Balak. He said, you want to learn how to curse Israel? This is what you do. The United States was set up to be a witness, a light on the hill. I mean, that was literally one of the statements. Although all of the founding fathers were all Masons and they were all, they were all occultists, but it was still set up with kind of a Christian veneer. And so as that has been peeled back, the way that you curse the United States, I mean, the United States has been the most powerful nation in history pretty much since World War II, and that's come to an end. I mean, now you've got China that's beginning to take the lead and whatnot. And the way that you do that is you get them to move away from God. And so what's going on in the Democratic Party, in many cases, it's all a distraction. There's a website that I get emails to, and every other article that they've got is something that AOC said. Well, the reality is, who cares what AOC says? I mean, what does that really have to do with? She's there to cause distraction. And this is what the enemy always does. He creates a commotion over here, and everybody looks over here, and behind the scenes, what's really going on, the Jeffrey Epsteins of this world, the Bill Clintons of this world, the Obamas, what they do is they create a distraction so that they can get the job done and nobody's paying attention.
Right.
And so this feeding frenzy that's going on in the Democratic Party, I mean, the song that you could probably sing to describe this is "Send in the Clowns." But all of it doesn't really matter. What really matters is the legislation that is being passed, the fact that in California, it is now illegal to get out of vaccinations, whether you object conscientiously or not. The fact that you've got so many Democratic politicians that are absolutely refusing to enforce the border, and the United Nations is bringing in millions of immigrants to the south of the border. There is an invasion going on in the state, just like what happened over in Europe, and Europe is lost. I mean, they're done. Right. There's no coming back from that. And the United States is pretty much on the precipice. And so what do we see? Because the United States has walked away from the commandments of God, because gay marriage and abortion and euthanasia and all this other stuff is going on, you now literally have the United States being judged and being turned into a third world hellhole.
Right. Very good points. And I want to bring in another perspective. And Sandy, when you hear things like this going on, you hear not only the infighting, you hear the weird stuff that Alexandria Cortez may say. You see the invasion of the southern border. You see the vaccination battles and the abortion battles and all these different things. We see an agenda that's being pushed, but what does it do to you when you see these things? Because I want to bring out a point, but what do you like to tell me? I
don't want to hear it.
You don't want to hear it. Why don't you want to hear it?
Because it says whatever's good, whatever's lovely, whatever's praiseworthy, et cetera, dwell on these things. Because I'm going to pray, and I'm going to pray for repentance. And I'm saying, let the Democrats fight. Let them destroy each other. I'm fine with that. Get rid of the liberals. Let them, whatever. So see, and I knew where you were going to go with that when we were talking about this. And the reason why I say this is because what happened with Balaam and Balak.
the whole purpose was, okay, if we can't curse them, then we're going to demoralize them. We're going to throw things at them from every which direction that's going to entice them, distract them, pull them in a different direction. So then therefore they're going to destroy themselves, and the blessings of God cannot continue upon them. And isn't that what we're saying? Is that what, like, Daryl, that's what you're talking about, how these things are all just kind of coming together, but it's all about the demoralization, where we actually take the energy, take the air out of the balloon, so to speak, so that people are just like, I give up. I just give up. Let's just let the agenda go forward. I'm done. I'm done with it. Let's just go hide in our bunkers and let everybody destroy themselves. Let's wait for the greater exodus so that we can just go off in our camps and not have anything to do with this culture.
And that's not what I said,
right?
though.
No, that's not what you're saying. But the demoralization is like, we get upset, we get frustrated, almost to the point that we just want to step back and become complacent, apathetic in our culture.
Well, and there is, I mean, you do have kind of isolationism, and this is something that a lot of Christians, we just want to, we're going to occupy, we're going to bunker down, and that was really Charlie Manson's philosophy. Go underground, create the race war, and then come back out to take over. And this is, what is the Illuminati? What is the New World Order? Order out of chaos. So what they do is they create chaos, and then when there's destruction, then they come back out and they create the order that they want. But Unfortunately, it's outside the order of what God wants. And so while I agree with Sandy, we as believers need to be focused on Philippians 4:8, whatever's true, honorable, right, pure, lovely, of good repute. If there's any excellence, anything worthy of praise, we have to meditate on these things. But we also have to be aware of what the tactics of the enemy are so that we know how to fight him. We just, my wife and I just watched Kingdom of Heaven over the weekend with Orlando Bloom. And what a great movie. I mean, it's all about the Crusades and the conquest of the attack of Jerusalem and whatnot. But seeing the dynamics that were going on there, and, Orlando Bloom's character was kind of like that. He was like, I don't want to focus on this stuff here. I just want to be about my business. We need to be about the Father's business. And what's happening, though, and what's happening with the Democrats is the same thing that is happening within the church today. How many people in the body of Messiah are behaving the exact same way as Balaam and Balak? And this is why the church isn't being blessed. Why is it that we in the Messianic movement have such a hard time in portraying this message? Why can't we get just people to understand that, what? God never changed his day of worship, and that you are being disobedient by telling God, I'm not going to come on the days, the Moedim that you laid out. I'm going to go do what I want to do, which is what paganism that was brought in 1700 years ago.
Right.
So we no longer have power. Why aren't we seeing the lame walk? Why aren't we seeing the blind see? Why aren't the deaf hearing? Why aren't the dead being raised? And why isn't the gospel successfully being preached to the poor? Why does Peterborough, Ontario, the city in which I live in, have an opioid crisis where we have 4 times the overdoses of the national average?
Right.
Because of wickedness, and the church has lost its salt and light.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Hitting some things close to my heart. Why aren't we walking in power?
And that's one thing that we've been preaching on. And by the way, when I say I don't want to hear it, I'm not going to sit there and dwell on those things. I'm one who still calls, who still speaks, who calls the senators and congressmen and the president and all of that stuff. I still am aware of what's going on, but I'm not going to sit there and dwell on it.
And rehearse it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I think that each one of us has a different assignment. I've got a new guy that's just come to our fellowship over the past couple weeks. And this guy's a brand new believer. He only got saved last year, but he is so aware of all this stuff because he actually grew up in a Masonic cult. So he knows all that they do, and the message that this guy is so incredibly powerful. And I see the Spirit of God upon him. He terrifies pastors who are around him because he keeps calling them out for their stuff.
Right. Exactly.
And so, I always equate this to kind of what my wife is very much like that. She is aware of what's going on, but she can't dwell on it because it overwhelms her. But God has called some of us who are more apostolic and evangelistic that we need to be aware of what this is. So when the Jehovah's Witnesses come to my door, I need to know what they believe so that I can refute them. I had Seventh-day Adventists who were in my congregation who went right back to the Worldwide Church of God and were trying to bring in all that doctrine. And I kept opposing him, and he eventually had to leave.
Yeah.
Because I kept saying, no, you can't bring this in here. I'm not going to accept it. This isn't what we believe. And
Right.
you can keep, opposing me publicly.
Right. Yeah.
So
Very good.
we all have different assignments, and I think we have to stick to the assignment that God gives us. God gave Balaam an assignment. Don't go with them. Okay, if you're going to go with them, now you're going to bless them.
Right.
And we've got to stick to that. And so if we're called to be aware of what's going on politically and whatnot, be aware of it, but always bring that back to Philippians 4:8. How do we then take this and then encourage and exhort the body so that they can do the right thing?
Right. Yeah. Very good. All right. Well, very cool. Sandy, you've got the Haftorah and Brit Hadashah portion for us today, and it's all tying in together with this week's Torah portion. And so what do you got for us today?
I wanted to read Revelation 2, 14. You have there some who hold it to the teaching of Balaam, who kept teaching Balak to put a stumbling block before the sons of Israel to eat things sacrificed to idols and to commit acts of immorality. You have some who hold to the teaching of the Nicolaitans. Okay, so I want us to just look and see that this is exactly where we are. This is exactly where we are. It picks up right off the Torah portion, but just looking at Balaam, just looking at the name, when you have the of course, that means people, and you have the Bala, and you're looking at something like swallowed up or swallowing, a destruction, things that are swallowed. And when you think about his whole name bears what he would do, and he was a destroyer of the people. When you look at the name, a confuser of the people, he swallowed up the people with what he was doing, with what he was saying. Because what was he saying? Well, he was teaching them to go against the ways of God, the ways of Yah, and he really seduced believers with the teaching that God created sexual activity and all the food. You can eat whatever you want and do whatever you want. And they didn't have to have any standards whatsoever to maintain their so-called identity. And it's the same with us, that we don't have to have those standards of sex. We can be rampant with sexual immorality. We can eat and do what we want, because it doesn't really matter, to maintain your identity of us as a so-called believer or Christian or whatever, even Hebrew roots, whatever you want to call yourselves. But so basically, in the name of Christian liberty, you attend orgies and participate in the acts of immorality that corrupt you. And we see that it goes right back with what we were saying in the church, in the congregation, I'm going to say, because it's not just in the church. We can't keep pointing our fingers to the church because it's everywhere, even amongst us. But because if we're talking to these congregations here, these assemblies, the symbolism in these assemblies is like us. He's talking to us, folks. He's not talking to them out there that we can easily point our fingers to. That's not it. When you go back to the Hebrew, you look at the scripture, he's talking to you and I. Look at the symbolism. Look at the symbolism in these assemblies. So don't think it's somebody else. Look inward. It's right here with us, because he was telling them, choose to love the sinner and accept the sin. It's all good. Let's be rampant with sexual immorality. Let's be rampant, do what we want. And if it feels good, do it. And they allowed it in the assembly. I know that Kryptonite is a book by John Bevere, and it's really good. And it talks about when you allow things in your assembly, when you allow things in your gathering without setting your foot down, without setting standards, you're bringing destruction. You're bringing destruction on the people. And it goes back to leadership. Leadership. What's more important? Do you fear Yah or do you fear man? Well, most people fear man more than they fear Yahweh. And that can't happen. So they tolerate teaching and symbol behavior right in their midst. We tolerate it because we don't want to hurt feelings, because it's politically correct. And what do we see? The Nicolaitans, we see Ephesus being taken care of because of the teaching of the Nicolaitans too. The acceptance of what is directly against what Yah's word says. But then we also see it says, repent or else I'm coming to you quickly and I will make war against them with the sword of my mouth. Okay, sword, that sheen, that sheen that we think of when we think of the mouth, the tongue, the teeth. And what is that? That's like fire, that fire of the Spirit, that sword that's coming forth from the very throne of Yah, from his word. It's going to bring forth judgment. Folks, it's better that we take care of it now, because where does it begin? It begins in the house of Yah first. It begins in his house first. So we need to stop pointing the finger at the others and always say, well, it's the church. It's the church. No, folks, it's you and it's me. It's us. It's where we gather together. We need to look at, what are we accepting here? Are we holding the standard of Yah? You know, Daryl said several times he's had to, or at least once, that he's had to bless people with, you know, you need to see we need to find you another fellowship. We've had to do the same thing and say, and we said, maybe you should gather here, but you can't gather here anymore. And, Yah's going to execute judgment, and it's either a separation and a decision for life, or it's a decision for death. And what do we accept? Well, we're doing the same thing. We are accepting as a people the teachings of Bilam. We are accepting the teaching of the Nicolaitans to go our way, which is ultimately bringing destruction forth, even in our very own congregations. That's why in the majority, you don't see the spirit of the power of Yah moving. Why is he going to move where he's not feared, where his word isn't lifted up? He's not going to. Folks, the big move of Yah right now, let's get on our face and let's get before him. Let him move through us, in us, and transform us from the inside out. And that does mean holding up a standard, being that standard bearer, raising his banner and saying, enough's enough. I want all. Are we hungry enough that we want everything he has? Or do we just want to be spoon-fed like a big fat baby? Give me new teaching that I've never heard before. I've got my mouth open like a bird. No, that's not what we're supposed to be. We've been fed. It's time to do.
Yeah, no, good. Isn't it true though? Isn't it true that even when people come into our congregations, or we as people, if we're like, oh, I got this new teaching, this new revelation, and they're teaching it over there, so I'm going to go over there and go there. But we're always jumping to this new thing or to that new thing, or this new teacher, or this got to get this teaching. But the issue is that we never deal with the baggage we're carrying. We're never dealing with the bag. We want to get something new, but we never deal with the issues that are the reason why we're always trying to get something refreshed and renewed in our life, because maybe we haven't cut things off in our lives, so we get entrapped. We're walking in deception and all of that type of thing. Mark, what are your thoughts about this and what Sandy was talking about? You're muted there.
I'm trying to make sure. Let's see. So what do I think? Let me take this thing. There, now can you see me?
Yeah.
I have been working on a study, eventually probably a teaching on the four Gospels and the end of the four Gospels, or the crucifixion part of it. And I know Sandy, for a fact, have heard me say several times, or ask the question, how often do you go to and read the crucifixion part, the whole thing from the time Yeshua went to the garden until the time that then he's crucified? How often do we read this? How often do any of us read this? And I've suggested that we, each one of us individually, read at least one of the four Gospels accounts a week. And go in a month, you've read all four accounts. I think you guys have been talking about the power, and the authority, and why aren't these things happening? I think it's because we forget what happened with our Messiah. We get caught up in the world stuff. Well, I'm not saying you do, Sandy. I'm just saying in general, a lot of the reason there's no power and authority within the body of Messiah is because, for the most part, we've forgotten what the Messiah did. And what the criminals said on the cross. Let me read this to you. Luke 23:35. The people stood watching, and the rulers even sneered at him. They said, "He saved others. Let him save himself if he is God's Messiah, the chosen one." The soldiers also came up and mocked him. They offered him wine vinegar and said, "If you are the king of the Jews, save yourself." There was a written notice above him which read, "This is the king of the Jews." One of the criminals who hung there hurled insults at him. "Aren't you the Messiah? Save yourself and us." But the other criminal rebuked him, saying, "Don't you fear God?" He said, "Since you are under the same sentence, we are punished justly, for we are getting what our deeds deserve, but this man has done nothing wrong." Then he said, "Yeshua, remember me when you come into your kingdom." Yeshua answered him, "Truly I tell you, today you will be with me in paradise." I have found out that word paradise also can mean garden. In other words, us returning back to where man fell. And it's interesting that as I meditate on this, as I think about this, as I talk to God about this in particular, all the other stuff kind of just falls by the wayside. And I feel the authority that I have based on what the Messiah has said to these criminals, because I'm a criminal. I am a sinner. I have done wrong, and I do wrong, and I recognize. The thing is I'm the other criminal, the last one, the one that recognizes, and I say to God what this criminal says, and I recognize this, and I want Yeshua to remember me and know me. That way I know me, and I know my Messiah, and I'm going to act upon that. But I do believe, because I've asked people, I've talked to people about this. How long has it been since you've read the crucifixion segment of any of the Gospels? And it's rare. It's rare that anybody's read them, even for years. Some people haven't. So that's my take on this, is that you want the power, you want the authority. We want to stand up and do what Daryl was saying. Where are the people that are, the dead being raised and the tongues and all of that? I think it's because we forget what has happened to our Messiah and why we are living the lifestyle that we live. That's my take on it.
All right. Yeah, very good. Well, thanks, Mark. I appreciate that. Sandy, any last words? We're going to wrap it up. Well, Daryl?
We've got a couple minutes or so.
Got a couple minutes? Okay. Daryl, what are your thoughts on what Sandy was talking about? Hey, Mark.
I don't know. I think we said pretty much all there is. I don't know if there's any more to cover here.
Well, something that was very interesting. Daryl, you brought it up. Sandy just brought it up, and it's really something that we've got to keep the focus here in regards to who we are as believers. One, we got to be willing to drop the baggage that we don't need to be carrying with us. Two, we got to understand that the whole point is not so that we can grow in knowledge, even though it is part of our walk, but we must walk in the power that he's given us. And that power only became because, Mark, you said it, it's because of the cross. It's because of, some call it the stake or execution stake, whatever you want to call it. He was hung on a tree. If that never happened, we wouldn't have had an Acts chapter 2. And if we didn't have an Acts chapter 2, there'd be no empowerment. And I would have to venture to say, if there was no empowerment of that first century congregation, those people, those believers in Yeshua, it would have not reached the four corners of the earth in their generation like it did. And yet, I want to ask this, is our generation any different than theirs? We're still the same people with the same heart issues, with the same battles, the same cry. Our facilities may look different. Our our lifestyles are different because we have a modernization versus what they had at the time, but the heart issues are still the same. And the bottom line is there was an empowerment that they received. With that empowerment changed the culture. It shifted everything. And are we willing to pay the price again in our generation to bring us to that point? I mean, Sandy, what are your thoughts? I mean, what do we need to do? Where are we going with that? We talk about repenting and following the scriptures,
repentance.
but
We're still so about ourselves. We don't empty ourselves of us. We've got to remember it's not about us anymore. When we give our lives, it's about him. It's his will. It's his way. It's not what we want and we desire. It's about him. And we're still too selfish. We're still self-centered. We have our own agendas. We want to be the boss. We want to be the leader. We want this. We want that.
So if we drop the baggage and we just simplify it, going back to the very basics. Mark, you said the basics. What happened to the crucifixion, his resurrection, all of that, the basics. We strip all of that stuff away. We go back to that. Wouldn't that make the purification of the very message that we're all talking about make sense? I think anything can be distorted. Right.
But you asked Mark that, not me.
Very good. Well, hey, we've run out of time. We've got so much. We could go on for hours on this subject. If we hit it from several different angles today. I want to just say thank you so much to my co-host today, Sandy and Daryl and Mark. We certainly appreciate that. Thank you for y'all that's been in the chat room making comments and all very good points. And our challenge is let's not go in the way of Balaam. Let's not go in that process. Let's not need a donkey to have to stop us from our certain destruction. But let's hear what Yahweh's saying and don't even go there. And I see that happy face there, Mark. Appreciate that.
Don't worry.
Don't worry. Be happy.
Be excellent to each other.
Be excellent to each other.
What does that mean?
So, yeah, just means it's kind of like saying amen. All right. So, all right. We'll never forget.
Made my day.
Yeah, we'll never forget how you started out. All this, you started it, Mark. All right. Well, hey, until next time, this has been John Craig, and have loved having you all on the programming today. If you like the show, give us a thumbs up. Share it on your social media. We certainly appreciate that. And until next time, we'll be back on Monday, Yah willing, and shalom.
See you later.
It's yours, John.
We'll be dancing in the streets, dancing at his feet, dancing in the streets of gold. We'll be dancing in the streets, dancing at his feet.
Which come first, the chicken or the egg?
All right. Well, so look for the newest version of the MDSB coming to your local bookstore. Good luck with that. All right. I forgot to put the intro to this, and it's a great intro, but the next game is called Which Came First, the Chicken or the Egg? That's right. You guessed it. It's pretty simple. I'll ask the question, which came first? Then Sandy will give you two choices. You can discuss it between each other and give us your answer. Easy enough. Okay.
That wasn't very evil.
That was my evil laugh. Okay. So which came first? Sandy.
The Tower of Babel or Abram and Lot part ways?
Which came first?
The Tower of Babel or Abraham and Lot part ways?
I think it's the Tower of Babel.
Sí, es muy gudo. So which book of the Bible can you find the Tower of Babel?
Genesis.
Wow. And which Torah portion?
Which tore? Oh. Now I do need a lifeline.
Yeah. I'm with you. I wouldn't know these things either. So those things. All right, Sandy. Sandy could. She teaches Torah portion. So, I don't. Okay, number 2, Sandy. Which came first?
Peter's vision on the roof or Hananiah and Shapira cheat the church?
Peter. Yeah.
Actually, in the book of Acts, it's Hananiah and Shapira cheat the church in the book of Acts.
Oh, that's
As a matter
right.
of fact, it is.
We're heading for another D- there.
No, I disagree with that. As a matter of fact, it's referred to as it goes through there. So, anyway, book of Acts. So, some
All right.
of those things, it just tells us how long it's been since we've read some of these books, I think, too. I was thinking about it when I was putting this together. It's like, man, I need to go back and read through that. Anyway, number 3, which came first?
Korah's rebellion or the Council of Nicaea?
Yeah.
Course rebellion.
Yeah,
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 the Council of Nicaea was church history, so that was a lot later.
that's right. Yeah, like centuries before, I think. Okay. All right, Sandy, number 4. Which came first?
Yeshua tells Peter to feed his sheep, or Yeshua rides into Jerusalem on a donkey?
Let's see. Feed his sheep.
I think I'm going to talk to Ken first because I think it was after he came back. He came through that.
Okay. We're going to go with riding into Jerusalem.
That's right. Because it was only after Yeshua appeared that Peter was out fishing and Yeshua showed up and said, I love the way they whispered each other to figure it out. You guys don't want us to know it. I love it. That's great. It's really good. We've never had anybody do that. So, okay. Sandy, number 5. When reading the Bible, which came first?
The book of Leviticus or the book of Numbers?
Genesis, Leviticus is 3rd, Numbers, Deuteronomy.
Isn't it funny how I have to do it too? I have to stop and think. It's not one of those when it just should be there. All right. So for 1 extra point, name all the portions in Leviticus backwards. No, I can't do it either. Okay, last one on this is when reading the Bible, which came first? Mary. Oh, I'm sorry. Go, Sandy.
Mary's genealogy or Joseph's genealogy?
Oh, that's an easy one. That's an easy one.
I know there's it's different in 2 different books. I'm going to say because the book of Luke, I think, has her genealogy. I think Joseph's comes first.
Joseph's is in Matthew.
Yeah, his is Matthew and hers is in Luke.
Yeah, you wouldn't believe how many times I've talked to people about this stuff, and literally people have said, "Well, they're both in the same book." They both list. They just list them out, separately in the same book. You wouldn't believe how many people I've talked to that think that. And it's just, of course, young people that really don't put these things together in an order. But yeah, that's right. Very good. Okay, well, so these things that make you think, you'll be thinking about these at 3:00 this afternoon. You'll go, yeah, I need to look that up. So,
I thought that was shower thoughts. Oh, well, sorry.
the wrong show, Sandy.
Oh, right. That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
All right. Okay. Well, that was good. That's fun. I love seeing people's responses to that.
Oh, which come first, the chicken or the egg?
We'll be dancing